For this organic fresh logo, we're going to be using a lot of gradients, as you can see, for the fields. We're also going to be using repetition to get the sun to go round the outside, and then of course the usual, putting in some text. With this project, what we're going to do is to set up some guides before we get going. And I'm going to go along, I've just got an A4 page here, but I'm going to go along to the properties over here, and just below the properties you will find the precision options. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to add some guides on the middle of my page, so I can just click on add guides. By the way, you can add rulers if you like, and you can drag guides from the rulers if you want. But I'm not going to worry about rulers. I'm just going to go and add guides and add one guide that way and add a guide that way. Now my guides need to be centered, so I'm going to make sure that the guide is selected, and then I'm going to go along to my line options and align that one this way, and this one over here, let's align that one that way. Oops, I've got them both selected. Let's make sure that I just have this one selected and align it that way. And then once again go in here and we'll lock all the guides in there so I can't touch them by mistake. I like one more guide, and that's a circular guide. So I'm going to take a circle, I'm going to draw from the middle outwards, and I'm going to go to the outside of my touch control here, which will then draw from the middle outwards. Let me start that again. So I'm going to start from the middle, go and draw from the middle outwards. There we go. You can see though I haven't got quite in the middle, so I'm actually going to go across here and I'm going to just align this both horizontally and vertically, and then we can go and we can convert that into a guide. So I've clicked on the object panel and I'll convert that to a guide like so. Just get rid of that, and then you can see that that little item is locked as well. So set up some guides like that, and then we'll start drawing our shapes using those guides. So what I'm going to do now is draw an ellipse, and I'm going to start it from the middle over here and draw outwards, holding down my outer touch ring so it'll draw from the middle right out to the edge. And just to be sure, I'm going to go along to my align option and just align it horizontally and vertically, just in case it wasn't quite right. I don't know whether you saw it, it moved a fraction in there. So there's my first shape done. I'm now going to copy that shape, and I'm going to move a copy. Try using the right tool, so we'll go to the move tool. I'm going to move a copy down to here. And what I want to do from this copy, and I do want to make this copy slightly bigger, let's just make it a bit bigger like so. I'm going to move it in there and I'm going to align it, and there we go. You can see how it's now perfectly aligned. The little red line was going up and down. And if you zoom right in, if you're not sure, you can check it when you zoom right in there. Now I want two more of these shapes in here. So if I make another copy and pull this one in, now I'm going to move it over to there. Once again, I'm making sure that it's crossing in the same position over there. So I want it to cross right in the middle. For more accuracy, if you go to the top right hand corner and go to outline mode, then you can see exactly where things are crossing and where you want your lines to be. So I want my lines to cross on this one right over there. Let's just take that back to preview mode. And let's have one more in here. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to make a copy of that, and the copy for this one I'm actually going to make it bigger. So I'll just make it a little bit bigger like so, and then move that again over to here. It's going to go bigger still, and these are going to be my fields that I want coming through. So I'm really looking to get something to line up on there. If it still needs to be larger, not a problem, we'll just scale it right up. That's about right. So we kind of want these 3 fields. Let's zoom right in and check that it's in exactly the right position over here. And if you're unsure, go into your outline mode to make sure it's correct. So have a bit of a go, put in your 3 fields or circles in there, and then we'll come back and we'll do the other side. Now the other side is going to be really easy because we're going to take these ones, we are going to make copies of all 3 of them, and then we're going to flip them. So I'm going to go to the align option and choose to flip them over and then move them across into the right position. So they're going to be moving across to there. We'll zoom right in, and I'm just going to make sure that they also go on exactly the same position, and they're just lined up on that one there. Right, there are my fields. I know they don't look like fields yet, but bear with me. I'm going to select all of those items in there, and I'm going to go over here to the, you guessed it, combine shapes, and I'm going to divide them all up. Now what this means is I can now go and remove lots of these shapes. Remember, it is all grouped together, so you're going to have to ungroup it first, and I nearly forgot, and then we can select those and bin those. We can bin those, and we can bin those. I think that's all the other ones binned. You can start to see my fields are appearing. Now over here there might be another object. Let's get rid of that one. Over there, I think that one is part of that. If you're not sure, just go in over here. It doesn't really matter too much. It's probably the stroke sticking out, but we'll check it anyway. Go into outlines. Yep. So as you can see, that's the stroke sticking out. We're not going to have a stroke on here, so it won't be an issue. But I will just get rid of this little extra bit on the side there as well. So have a go with that. Go in and delete, or sorry, use the last one in here, which is going to be divide all. So take divide all up and get rid of the bits that you don't need. That's all the stuff around the outside. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to select all of these and I'm going to go and give them a fill color. Now, fill color doesn't matter at the moment. We will change the colors later. I'm just doing that so I can see what I'm doing. So this field and this field, these 2 parts of the field are going to be 1. So we're going to go and we're going to combine all and convert to path for that one. This next field is going to be 1 as well. So it's going to be this one. Hold down the little touch control, that one and that one. And once again, we're going to combine all those together, convert to the path. Now on this side here, I think we're going to have this one and this one are also going to be 1. Let's combine all and convert to path. Now here we're going to have this being 1, so we'll select those 2. We're nearly there. Combine those, convert to path, and finally this one and this one. So that one there and that one over here. So they're sort of almost interlinking each other. And then we're going to combine those 2 and convert that to the path. So we've kind of got these sort of fields which are kind of coming down one and then the other and the other to get this amazing hill. What about this bit at the top? Well, we're going to just delete that. And our fields are ready. We're going to have a sun coming through behind the hills in a moment. But have a go with that. Try it out. Let's create the sunshine. I'm going to go along and I'm going to lock this layer down and make a new layer. So I'm going to be working on the second layer. The reason I'm doing that is because I can then easily move the sunshine behind the fields. And the sunshine, of course, is going to be a little circle. So I'll draw in my circle, hold down the touch, the outer touch or the inner touch, depending on which one you want to use. I just want the inner one for now. And then I'm going to go and align this right to the middle of that whole document. Now, the little rays of sun that are going to go around the outside, let's have a look and see what we can do with those. If I were to draw in one of those rays, and I'm just going to draw it in up here like that, and I'd also like to center that, so we'll just make sure it's right in the middle to start off with. So going down to my repeat, I can choose a radial repeat in there, and I'm going to just scale this out a little bit like so. Now when I'm scaling, I can scale from the middle out, or I can scale across like that. So I'm just going to scale that up and move that over to the middle. So once again, we just need to move this whole thing across to the center like so. I think they look a little bit too big, to be perfectly honest. I liked them a lot smaller when I first started out, and they're not quite in the right position either. So how can we do that? Well, if I go along to this one over here, this was the first one, and I scale it down, you'll see they'll all scale appropriately with that. Just make it a little bit smaller like so. And in fact, I can then still go back, because I'm looking at that thinking, you know what, I need some more sunbeams. So I can then just increase the number of sunbeams in there. I suspect that just maybe that is probably about enough, having those 5 around the top. Well, what about these ones over here? Do they actually matter? Will they make any difference at all? Well, not really, to be honest. I can actually hide them behind the fields, or we can actually take this and just expand it and then delete them as well. But I think I'd like to just make this little sunbeam slightly smaller, so they're actually going to be hidden all the way behind that field, just a fraction smaller, like so. Right, so if I take that whole layer, I can then drag it below the field and they'll just disappear out of sight. If I wanted them to be bigger and they stuck out over there, as I said, all you'd have to do is to select it. You'd go along to your object menu and just expand them that way. Have a go. Put in some sunshines, but put it onto a new layer. Now for the colouring, what I've done is I've made up some colours here that I really like, some sort of 2 shades of green, 2 shades of brown and 2 shades of yellow. And I've just unlocked these layers in here. So let me start off with the sunshine first of all, and I'll just get the middle sun over there, and I'm going to make that sort of a darker yellow. Let's make sure that that is unlocked and I can actually select it. And I'm going to just go and pick that bright yellow that I had in there. And then same again over here with this. I'm going to then choose the lighter yellow that I had. So I should have 2 slightly different yellows in there. To be honest, they look the same. I might have to look into that shortly. But we're going to be talking gradients soon anyway, so it's not a biggie. And then on this side, these ones are going to be green. So for now, I'm just going to pick the greens that I've got, and I'll just have maybe a lighter green there, a darker green here. I'm just getting some colors into this now to see how it's going to look with the final result. A darker one, and maybe that one there is also going to be a lighter version. And this is in case the client wants a flat version rather than the gradient version that I'm about to do. So let's have that as a lighter, that's a darker green, and this one over here, that one should be the lighter green. Then same over here, I'll just do something similar over there with the browns, and I've got 2 shades of brown in there. I've got that one there, maybe a lighter brown and a darker brown. Oh, that's a lighter brown, and this one here is the darker brown there. So I could present the client with something along that line. Let's remove these little color areas over there with some flat color. But really I want to give it more depth and create some more gradients in there. But if you like to find some colors that you like for yours, and then come back and we'll put some gradients in and make it look a little bit more exciting. Let's start out with the green gradient. So I'll just click on this one to get going, and I'm going to make a new gradient, and it's going to be a linear gradient, and I'm going to get it to go from my light green over there, which is that green there, through to my darker green, which is that one over there. And I can then adjust it because I've changed from my CMYK sliders into my HSB sliders. You do have to be really careful here. If you start using these, you could end up with a color which is not CMYK compliant. So if you're not really sure about those, you might be best staying with CMYK and just darkening things down by using the black, like so. So I've got my first one, and what I'm going to do is just save that gradient in there. I can now go and apply it to the others as well. So let's go to this one here, and once again choose the gradient, but I might adjust it a little bit more. There, maybe the light is coming over the top down there, and I can even go in there if I need to brighten it up. I could lighten up a little bit in there as well, and maybe go for something a little bit brighter on there. And then once again for the final one over there, same thing again, gradient, and we'll just change it down here so it's going to be really bright at the top. Now be careful, if you do go to these colors here, you might end up with something which could be non-CMYK compliant. So do watch your colors if you're going for print. So there's the three gradients, and I'm just going to select those three and get rid of my stroke from them. So I don't want any stroke. It's set to black at the moment, so we can see how that's going to look. And that's looking really, really nice. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the browns in there, but I won't get you to sit through that. You've seen me do it with the greens. You can do it the same thing with the brown, and then maybe with the yellows as well, possibly with the sunshine. I couldn't see much difference in my last gradient, so I'm going to go over to my gradients in there, and this time I'll use a circular gradient. Interesting, going from from yellow to green, but I want to go from maybe a sort of a darker more orangey yellow, because this is sort of the morning coming up over the fields, out to something which is more yellow, like so. And we'll just lighten that yellow up a little bit in there, so we get the nice sort of orange down the bottom. And you can just play with these until you get something which you really like the look of. And then don't forget, with these ones here, I can then go in, and with those I'm going to make those really quite a light yellow. But you have a go with those and see what you can do. I will fix this, come back, and then we'll have a look at putting some text along the bottom. So there's my final piece. I've got my text in there, I've got those bits, and I've got some guides in there as well. Although what I really want to do is to just get rid of the guides. So I'm going to just hide all the guides in here. And for the client, I might want to do another artboard and maybe a different variation on there with a flat color. So if I go to my artboards, down the bottom here, there's an option to just copy an artboard, and it'll copy it with the artwork on it. So I can then very quickly do a color variation on there. And maybe I do a third one over here and do a line version, and maybe have the strokes on that one as well. So very quickly going from one piece of artwork to all the rest of them. Let's just put a stroke on there so we can see what it'll look like with a stroke rather than just the standard non-stroked version. And the same over here, we can have flat color on that one. Anyway, have lots of fun with that, do some variations on it and get into using your gradients more.